couple things. One, get out of debt if you can. Getting out of debt. My grandfather always said the people who made money in the Depression are the ones who had money in the Depression, because most people just didn't have any money. And so the people who survived were the ones that could afford to buy things at dirt cheap prices. And people were happy to sell them at dirt cheap prices because they didn't have anything and they needed the money. But there is something different as well. We have lived for the last 20 years or so in what will be regarded as our own kind of roaring 20s. The houses that I see that are built here in Texas, and they've been built this way for really 10 years, 20 years, these giant homes. I will tell you that I think that is the Great Gatsby home of the future. That is, those areas that have those big homes, I think they are going to be kind of a little like the Newport, Rhode Island homes. They're just not going to be, they're going to be set apart as a time period. The home itself is completely changing. If you have a home with a formal dining room and a formal living room, that's a thing of the past, because he's right. We're not living that way. We haven't lived that way since practically the turn of last century. But that's when the homes were designed, and everything is changing. And he's right again. People that are younger do not want these big homes. So when you have people my age downsizing because all their kids are gone and everything else, we downsize. Who are we going to sell those homes to? Because those big homes, the ones that are up and coming, don't want those big homes. It is changing, and it's changing rapidly. I was telling Stu during the break that this week the podcast is with Andrew Yang, and I just recorded it yesterday. And he's fascinating. Now, he was the guy who ran for president as a Democrat. I don't know why. He's not really a Democrat. I mean, he grew up a Democrat, but he doesn't believe in big government. He does believe in things like UBI, but we talked about that in the podcast.
Universal Basic Income.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That's where everybody gets $1,000 every month, a check for $1,000 every month. And you cut all other services. Okay, just everybody gets a check for $1,000 a month. I don't agree with that. However, we agree on the problem, and very few people. I'm trying to think of another way of saying this, because I know I've said it before, and I wish people would listen. Very few people truly understand what we are on the threshold of. We are on the threshold right now. We are in it. I asked Andrew, are we in it right now? The Industrial Revolution, which changed us from a community of people that worked farms with our horses to the life that we have today. That Industrial Revolution took about 100 years to fully flip. And think of the changes. If you were in, let's say, 1850, just at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and you're in 1850, and in a 10-year period, 1860 by the Civil War, all of the changes that happened from 1850 to 1950 happened by 1860.
Earth-shaking.
Earth-shaking. People would be lost. They wouldn't know how to survive. They wouldn't know what to do. They barely understand the machines that they were to operate. That is exactly what is happening right now. And I've been telling you that the Industrial Revolution, that 100-year period, is going to be compressed into a 10-year period. and you're not going to like it. And people are going to be, the upheaval is going to be remarkable. And I talked to Andrew Yang about it, and he said, "You're exactly right." And I said, "I think we're at the beginning of this. I think we're in that 10-year period." And he said, "Yes, we are." And he again expressed kind of this frustration that I just expressed. How do we get people to understand this? Because if you don't understand the technology of tomorrow, if you don't understand AI and at least AGI, you don't understand what they're actually working on for robotics, you have no idea what's coming. I mean, he brought up the call centers. Anybody working a call center? Google now has your call center, and it will be better than a human. Have you done yet a computerized call center?
I feel like I have. Maybe. I mean, it's tough because I go back and forth on this because some of the stuff is so bad. I mean, they can't recognize what you're saying. Some of it is really getting a lot better.
Yeah. So call centers, he said that right now, Google has call center technology that will cut all of those call center jobs. And he said that's ready right now. Mm-hmm. And he said it's really good. All of our jobs are going to be at stake. This upheaval is happening, and it's going to happen in the banking sector. This is what Build Back Better is really all about, but they're not telling you. What they're telling you is we have a golden opportunity to change the world, and so we're going to do it by 2030. In a 10-year period. And in 10 years, you won't own anything and you'll like it. How do you get a country and a whole Western culture that is based on ownership? How do you change that in a 10-year period? Massive, massive upheaval. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I want to come back and I want to tie this back to the original statement about buying a home. You're trying to buy a home. You're trying to sell your home. Well, if you're trying to buy a home right now, especially in a place like Texas, which one of my new employees is, she can't find one because she was just outbid by $75,000. You're used to, okay, I'll give you $5,000 more. I'll give you $3,000 more. No, this person, quote unquote, came in with $75,000 over the asking price. Well, they're out. Who does that? Build Back Better. Almost 1 in every 5 U.S. homes sold in the third quarter of this year was purchased by an investor entity rather than an individual that is looking to live in or rent out the residence. Think of that. 1 in every 5 homes that have been sold are going to a big investment firm. Investors bought more than 90,000 homes totaling more than $63 billion, representing 18% of all homes sold in the quarter. The numbers broke all records. Increasing home prices fueled by intense housing shortage have created opportunities for investors to reap big profits. These same factors have pushed more Americans to rent, which also creates opportunities for investors because investors typically turn their homes they purchase into rentals and now can charge higher rents. Rent for single-family homes surged by more than 10% in 12 months through September, the fastest annual rent inflation in 16 years. Nearly 77% of all homes were bought in an all-cash transaction. 77% purchased in an all-cash transaction. That's not your average person. And these investment firms, like BlackRock, are going in and buying entire neighborhoods. They are the people that come in and say, I'll give you $75,000 over the asking price. I don't care. I don't want to play around. We'll just buy it. And they'll pay these exorbitant costs. Now, that doesn't make any sense. We're at the top of a market. Why would investment firms think that they are going to just be able to make money on paying something $75,000 over the asking price? What is it they know that you don't know? They know, as the Great Reset states, that by 2030, you will own nothing. And you'll like it. You'll rent. Well, that implies someone owns something, and you're paying Mr. Potter in the end to live in Pottersville. This is exactly what happened in It's a Wonderful Life. That was the choice. Is the big guy who has money, is he going to come in and swoop in when there's problems and buy up everything and then make them rental houses or make these people enslaved to him for profit? That's exactly what's happening, and it's all happening in the name of equity. But I don't think it means the same kind of equity they think. It's money equity. This is the Great Reset. So now how do we solve this? We ask Americans to do what I think is damn near the impossible. Because if somebody comes in and offers $75,000 for your house, $75,000 over asking price, are you going to say no? Most likely, no. Most likely you'll be like, $75,000? That changes everything for us. But the only way to stop this is to not sell to these big investors. You have to send the money, or you have to send the message. No, I actually care about the little people, not you, who's just gobbling up my whole town. No. It's going to be hard. But literally, I have an employee that cannot find a house within any sane distance from our studios. Cannot find a house to buy because they're all being gobbled up. There's a problem. If we leave the little people behind, the normal people, we don't have a very safe and secure country anymore. We have to try to convince each other and hold each other's hands. We're in this together. Don't grab for the cash.